now on Denver 7 News at 10. Summer travel chaos. A full ground stop at Denver International Airport tonight blamed on high winds and stormy weather. We have a live report on stranded travelers trying to get to Colorado.
Housing is a human right. Fight.
Plus, skyrocketing rent in Colorado. The protest calling for change after an average increase of $300 a month in Denver. Why many believe repealing a 1980s law is the solution to stabilize rent.
A warning tonight from Westminster police after several women were attacked in the same area within a week. The area police say to keep an eye out.
And Colorado's gaining a reputation no one wants.
Colorado leads the country in per capita motor vehicle theft.
How local city leaders are sending a message to those looking to steal cars.
We begin tonight with major headaches at Denver's airport with dozens of flights delayed right now tonight. This is a live look at DIA. Some planes are even diverted to other states. Stranded passengers waiting for answers from Albuquerque to Cheyenne. Thank you for joining us on Denver 7 News at 10. I'm Jacqueline Allen.
And I'm Brian Wang. DIA says the delays were due to thunderstorms and high winds in the area. At last check, there have been about 600 delays and nearly 20 cancellations at DIA today.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon is live at the airport tonight. Colette, what are travelers telling you?
We all know that feeling, right? It's got to be one of the worst parts of traveling. You're either so close to getting home and then you're not home, or you're just trying to get out of town and everything comes to a screeching halt. Here at DIO, that we've been watching as people below us have been getting off of the trains, waiting for these people who have been waiting on them to get home. And actually right across the way here, that is the smallest line I've seen at that Southwest Service Center since we have been here for 2 hours. Now, other people waiting in baggage claim they had mixed feelings about these delays depending on how it affected their days. Some weren't too frustrated at all, saying it really only changed their travel days by around half an hour. But I heard others on the phone talking about the stresses of their own delays. One woman I spoke with was so happy to finally be home. When she heard they had to circle because of the weather, she had that sinking feeling and wasn't the only one on the plane.
Not to be dramatic, but it's kind of torture because, you know, I've been traveling so much lately and I was so looking forward to getting here. My husband was going to pick me up with our dog, and then they said we have to circle for 20 minutes and then we have to circle for 20 more.
I know that feeling all too well. It is such a bummer when you are trying to get home and then all of a sudden weather gets in the way of that. Still though, she said she knows can't really be mad at anyone since it was the weather, so she doesn't really have anyone to blame. But one of her favorite parts about living in Denver was the ease of getting out of DIA and flying in and out. She does say the past few times she's been here, unfortunately, it's been a little bit more stressful than she's used to. Live at DIA. Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
All right, Colette, thank you. Now, we've been seeing nonstop Twitter posts about this incident. Colorado resident Jessica Hardman saying, I should have landed in Denver at 6 p.m. and I've been sitting in Cheyenne, which this United plane cannot fly out of because it's too heavy. Good time, she says. Pilot said it's an absolute mess. Other plane crews have timed out.
And take a look at this photo from a passenger showing the ominous clouds at a DIA earlier tonight. Marcia tweeted, we waited and waited and did not see a single plane land for over an hour. Wonder when they'll start landing.
Yeah, and our Ann Trujillo is in Albuquerque right now. I believe she is just getting back right now, right?
She just got back to Denver. She was stranded in Albuquerque for a little while. Glad to be back home, though. It has been a crazy night, and there are still people stranded right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's any positive in Ann's delayed arrival, it's that temperatures are a lot cooler than they were earlier.
Oh, that's right. Stacey, we almost hit another record today, but the cool down is here.
Yes, well, we missed that record afternoon high today by 1 degree. It was even warmer today than it was yesterday. We hit 100 yesterday and broke a record, but today the record was 102, and so we were just under that, the record being set in 2016. Now, our average high this time of year is 90 degrees. So temperatures all across the Front Range and the plains were in the triple digits. Hottest at Ray at 108 this afternoon, 103 for Burlington, and even 80s and 90s for the higher elevations. So all across the state, it's been very hot. Now, the winds have died down. We still have gusty winds out toward Lyman where we have some rainfall. Otherwise, 13-mile-an-hour winds right now at DIA. So that cold front is making its way toward Colorado. It's going to be moving through overnight. We have those those scattered showers across the eastern plains. Not much happening here in Denver. We really haven't seen a whole lot of rain. Those high base thunderstorms where the rain isn't actually hitting the ground, but more rain here across the eastern plains, and it's going to continue to move out of the state as we head through the rest of tonight. So as you wake up tomorrow morning, temperatures will be in the 60s, and look at that, only 73 degrees by noon instead of close to 100 degrees. That cold front making a huge difference. We'll talk more about the extended forecast and how long the cool air will stick around coming up.
All right, thank you, Stacy. This is a problem many of us can relate to lately. Landlords suddenly raising the rent by several $100s.
Yeah, not fun at all. So a group of Coloradans demonstrated in front of the state capitol today demanding stabilized rent.
Denver 7's Patrick Perez was there and explains what the group is asking from our state leaders.
Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight.
At the steps of the state capitol, a rally Sunday for a crisis impacting many Coloradans.
If you've ever experienced that living and surviving, it's two different things, and it's just not fair.
Mariah Rodriguez lives on a limited income after suffering a brain injury in a car crash. Paying for public housing and supporting her 4 children is getting harder and harder.
Sometimes it feels shameful to not be able to go into the mall and buy your kids shoes, or go out to eat like everybody else, or, go to the movies, things like that.
It's why she and several others spoke at the Colorado Homes for All rally, calling on state leaders to repeal the 1981 ban on rent stabilization.
We've heard stories of folks whose rental increases have gone up by $500 1 month, and they've had to leave their homes. And that's with their homes still not being completely habitable.
Coalition manager Yoselin Iboa says it's time cities and counties like Denver have the ability to implement rent protections that fit their communities. Councilmember Jamie Torres agrees.
Everything that happens in Denver hinges on our residents' ability to afford to live here.
According to the University of Denver's Denver Metro Apartment Vacancy and Rent Report, the average rent for the first quarter of 2022 was nearly $1,800. In the first quarter of 2019, it was nearly $1,500, an almost $300 increase.
All the projects that they've torn down and just different communities, you see everything just changing.
As Mariah and others continue to advocate on their behalf, they hope state lawmakers listen closely.
9 out of 10 people, you'll hear the same story.
Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
Last month, the Denver City Council took a drastic step to increase the amount of affordable housing in our city. They approved a measure that requires builders to include affordable units with any new construction, or they'll have to pay a fee. And this would apply to new developments of 10 or more units, both those for sale and for rent. And the new policy went into effect on July 1st.
Westminster police are sending out a warning after multiple sexual assault attempts were reported within the same area. Police say there were 3 incidents within the last 5 days near 120th Avenue to 124th Avenue between Huron Street and I-25. On Monday, police say a woman was touched from behind near 123rd and Bannock at about 10 p.m. On Friday, another woman was attacked from behind in the 300 block of 123rd Avenue at about 8:30 p.m. Yesterday morning, police say there was another incident involving inappropriate sexual behavior on someone's balcony. Now, police described the suspect as a clean-cut Hispanic man in his mid-20s. He's about 5'5" to 5'7" and was wearing a bandana during the incidents. Anyone with information is asked to call Westminster Police at 303-658-4360.
And tragic news tonight from the Weld County town of Dacono. A 3-year-old girl was killed after she was hit by a car Saturday night. This was in a neighborhood near Highway 52 and Colorado Boulevard. Dacono police say around 8:15 they found a person giving the child CPR at the scene. First responders took over and took her to the hospital where she died of her injuries. Now, the driver of the vehicle involved stayed on scene and is cooperating with the investigation. Investigators are still determining whether charges will be filed.
Colorado continues to lead the country in the number of car thefts per capita throughout the entire nation. It's unbelievable. Tomorrow, Aurora City Council will be voting on an ordinance that would create harsher punishment for those committing the crime. The ordinance would require a 60-day minimum sentence for first-time offenders. Repeat car thieves get more time, and those who fail to show up to court also go to jail. Aurora City Councilman Dustin Zvonik introduced the ordinance. He says after state lawmakers decriminalized crimes like motor vehicle theft, local leaders were forced to get involved.
We have to do something. Our residents are demanding us to do things to make our community safe.
Zvonek says the Arapahoe County and Adams County Sheriff's Office is on board with the ordinance. We're told August is the earliest it could take effect.
Coming up, taking questions from the community.
I think that the voice of the community should be involved in how their law enforcement agency looks and how they provide that service.
How one Colorado law enforcement agency is making efforts to be more transparent and accept accountability from the people they're protecting.
And Colorado is known for all the outdoor recreation it has to offer, but the tourist economy is causing prices to skyrocket for people who live there year-round.
We need to attain more diversity in these small houses. You need, it's the barrier to entry is very, very difficult.
How one Colorado county is getting creative to find affordable housing for its residents.